Oh, wait, what happened to?
And now we are live. Welcome, welcome, Ben Umanov of Metal Sucks.
Thank you, Jamie. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, it's so good to see you. It's been a while, and you do something that no one else does. And I really want to know how you guys came up with that unique voice that you use on Metal Sucks.
Yeah, well, I'll just tell you the story of how the site
Please.
started because it's kind of tied into that. Matt, who writes under Axel on the site, was he and I have known each other since we were in kindergarten, actually,
Oh,
and over the course, we were together kindergarten through eighth grade, and then we kind of went apart our separate ways, but always kind of stayed in touch, particularly around music, and. We were at a Monomarth Children of Bodom concert in Manhattan. This was December 2006. So it was, knowing what I know now, probably one of the final tours of the year, right? Like not that many bands tour in the winter, but like, we didn't like think about that or care. And in between bands, I turned to him and we're completely stoned, which is where like all of our ideas came from, basically. Um,
sure.
and I said something along the lines of, let's start a website that's Pitchfork, but for metal. Like no one's doing like opinionated metal. And at the time you had Blabbermouth, which is basically the same form it is now, which is cut and paste press releases with maybe some back information filled in. Um, and for the older kind of stuff, metal sludge, right?
Yeah.
Like you don't really hear like metal sludge talked about that much, but metal sludge was actually a huge inspiration for us because we were fans of the music and we followed that site. And sort of the tone of what ended up being Metal Sucks was very much inspired by Metal Sludge, the
Yeah.
sort of like conversational humor element of it. But anyway, as far as current stuff, there was nothing like it in the metal world. So that kind of morphed into like, let's make it humorous, let's make it funny, let's make it snarky, like let's basically just make it like the two of us sitting next to each other on the couch, like we do all the time, watching metal videos, being stoned, and just saying whatever we want, like, and nobody's doing this at the time, which is kind of like, I mean, I guess still really, I think no one really kind of goes at it from that angle in metal anyway. But so we started this. I just put up a bare bones WordPress blog. I think like Matt suggested, Metal Sucks. I have no idea where that came from. Um, and within like a week, we had this bare bones like basic theme thing going, and we just started writing.
That's awesome. And how did you pick your pen names?
So again, I mean, we were stoned on the couch and, watching like the new Chimera DVD or something, or, and we, you know, who knows, but the basic gist was we're both Jewish, like let's make ourselves names after Jewish versions of famous 80s rock stars.
Yes.
Yeah, like it certainly wasn't let's be anonymous. We don't want people to know who we are. That was like
No.
never in the thought process. I think like later that maybe ended up benefiting us in that we did kind of, I mean, here I am talking to you, like people know my name if they want to know it. It's easy to find, but
Yeah.
like, unless you look for it, you're probably not going to know. And I think like that anonymity has maybe helped us a little, but maybe also hurt us. Maybe there's some like
No.
credibility there, I don't know.
I think everybody that is in the metal world kind of, I mean, if we're publicists and we're in behind the scenes, everyone knows you,
Right, of
in
course.
this
Yeah.
genre. Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
for years and years, it seems like. I'm surprised that it started 2006 because I feel like it's been around forever.
Wow. I mean, I don't know whether to say thank you or to be like, how dare you?
No,
But
no. I mean, like, because it's such a staple of like how people discover new metal bands. and how people like read about all the bands they love. Like I just feel like it's like the fabric now, you know?
Well, thank you. That's awesome. I mean, I'd like to think we're there, and have been, but it's one of those things where when you're in something, you can't really see like how
Sure.
the outside world, and I mean, no matter how much I look at the analytics and traffic and, all the relationships and ever, sometimes it's hard to gauge what people think. So, but yeah, thank you for that. I really appreciate that.
Yeah, I mean it's we do I do a lot of press on a lot of different ends of metal, mostly the end that you guys make fun of, which I love. But um I definitely don't have a lot of sites that give their opinion,
Yeah.
and when you guys like something, you really get behind it.
Yeah. I mean, that's interesting that you say that because we get a lot of shit from people, not in the industry, just like readers or prospective readers
Yeah.
who say, you guys should stick to the news, like we didn't ask for your opinion. Well, like first of all, here you are like on my page, so
Yeah.
you implicitly asked for my opinion. But I mean, there are just so many other sites that do that, like
Yeah.
why do you need another one?
Well,
you
trolls
know
are gonna troll, I
yeah,
mean,
yeah.
you can't do
But
anything
yeah,
about
that's always been the thing. That's what I think makes our site interesting to read. That's what keeps me interested in doing it.
it. Mm.
I mean, those are the things like, and I mean, even so, there's definitely a monotony to it. And we can talk about that, writing, as I like to call it, metal mad libs, the same
Yeah.
thing, just like filling in different adjectives for brutal, and different pronouns for the band name.
Same with
Um,
writing press releases.
yeah, yeah, totally. But even so, when I do get amped on something, on writing something, it's when I'm putting myself into it. That's what kind of keeps me interested in it.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And another unique thing that you guys do that I think I've told pretty much everyone I've spoken to about metal, is you do the unreadable metal logos. And I just put a link in chat to the unreadable band logo of the week
Yeah,
contest.
yes,
And how did you
yeah.
start doing that?
Probably another stoned idea. I don't, I don't remember like the specific genesis of that.
Yeah.
Uh, but it's been a good. It's fun. I mean, of course, like when we started doing it, you couldn't just reverse image search on Google Images and like find out what it was. But I think like even now that you can, people just want to have fun with it, and it's just something to keep people entertained. And like frankly, it's a piece of content we can put out every week. Like that's just kind of automatic. We can just get it out there. It fills the quota. People like it. It allows us to collect email addresses that we can use on our email newsletter.
Yeah, yeah.
These are things that probably like most readers or just like general music consumers don't really think about, but from like
Sure.
a content creator perspective, something like that is very, very valuable.
I mean, it's brilliant. And it's, they're so like I can't read any of those logos. So every time I see like a tour poster, I'm like, oh, Metal Sucks will rip those apart, Like I can't wait to see that on the contest,
Honestly, I don't know how Matt does it. Like he's the one who does that every, like I don't know how he finds new logos every week. Like I mean, I'm sure
Yeah.
he's repeated a bunch by accident, but for the most part, he finds new ones every single week for, I don't even know how long that series has been going now, like at least 11 or 12 years, probably longer. But people like it, so why not?
Yeah, yeah, it's one of my favorites. I think it's funny because you take the essence of what is metal and like you don't take it too seriously,
Right.
and that's like because a lot of these people are like, ah, that's my favorite band, and like, you've always had that sense of humor that kind of I wish some of my bands had. So,
Well, that's the thing, like some metal has a good sense of humor about itself, but
mhm,
some does not.
right,
And I respect that. But at the same time, sometimes you have to take a step back and just like realize that the entirety of what we do is completely ridiculous. Like
Yeah.
we're like, like you're a publicist, you're being paid to represent grown adults who get up on stage and scream, and it's just like the whole thing is just so absurd, and yet there's this cottage industry around it. um
Yeah.
and I think, and look, like we write serious content too,
Yeah.
plenty of it, but like, so it's just important to remember that we're all doing something that we love, and that
Yes.
it's music, which is supposed to be fun, and that you just don't need to be super serious all the time.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And another thing that I like about what you guys do on the site is that you recap things. Like you have stories you may have missed this week, and that's actually a favorite as well. And I'm going to post that in the chat too, so people can check it out.
Oh,
Um,
cool. Yeah, that's good to know. Like, those posts, again, just like a way to recap. We used to not post on the weekends at all, so that would be the last post on Friday afternoon. Now we do post on the weekends in sort of abbreviated fashion, just because we have to. Honestly, like I
yeah,
hate it. It sucks, but we do, like, I take Sundays, Matt takes Saturdays. We just do like kind of like that's when we shift into like blabbermouth mode.
yeah,
We're like, if there's information that needs to go up, we'll do like a very short, just information only, no opinions, just like get it there. A lot of stuff, a lot of times it's things left over from Friday that we didn't get to because Fridays are bananas now.
yeah.
um,
Of
and
release days, yeah,
yeah, like every band thinks that they have to release on Friday or else, like, which is completely counterintuitive to
yeah,
me. Like, like your stuff will get way more attention if it's not on a Friday.
yeah,
But in any case, those worst week ever posts were kind of just a way to, um, yeah, in case you missed it.
yeah. No, that's great because a lot of times I don't get to look every day. So when I can come in and look at that, it's terrific. And I know that Ryan Downey pulls from your stuff this week as well when he sends out his newsletter.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
like what a great newsletter, by the way. I think Ryan's doing a great job.
yeah,
Uh, like I think he really saw a hole, and there's just nothing else like it in metal,
yeah,
or,
yeah.
if there is, I'm not aware of it, but he does a really good job. If people watching this, if you're interested, we're talking about a newsletter called Stream and Destroy, named, of course, riffed on the Metallica song Seek and Destroy, and it's mostly about like streaming, like charts and sales and newsletters and podcasts. It kind of just like ranks everything in the metal and punk and heavy music sphere, in a really easily digestible way, and it's kind of become, like, I guess, the industry standard for like.
Yeah, I did a little I'm doing like little bites of information on and videos on here, and I did one on Substack, and I talked about his and Music Journalism Insider and stuff like that.
Hmm.
So
Yeah, I
yeah.
got to get on the Substack train. Like, I feel like I've just neglected that, and there's so much time, or not enough time. If there were so
Yeah.
much time, I'd be doing it all. There's so many things though that I feel like, as somebody who, because it's just me and Matt
Yeah.
doing 98% of things
Wow.
right now. Like there were kind of the, like, what I call the peak Facebook years, which were like approximately, like, let's say 2012 to 2015, maybe 2016, where Facebook was just pumping the traffic, and like it was like, and not just for us, for all media.
Mm.
Um, and it was great. It was amazing. Um, and since then, Facebook has changed the algorithm a bunch of times, and it doesn't favor media as much as it used to. So anyway, so during the peak Facebook years, we were able to expand and have a bunch of different contributors, but now pretty much it's just back to me and Matt doing almost everything. We have a few people who help us out. We have our podcast crew in Las Vegas. We
Oh,
have Jeff
wow.
Treppel, who writes for a bunch of publications. He does our weekly new release column. A few other contributors here and there.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much it. So anyway, point being, I'm kind of rambling, but there's like so many things that I wish I could do that I just don't have time for, like
Oh,
Substack, like TikTok. We're not like not. I think I just registered the account, but you like actual like I would love to have a dedicated social media person that could make like
yeah.
you know an image properly sized for every platform and and give it all the attention it needs and instead we kind of have hacked together solutions figured
Right.
out but oh
Yeah,
well.
I mean, I don't know. Like I got on TikTok to see what it was about, and now I find myself looking at babies and talking dogs. And and not much else. So, I mean, I don't know. I always think like where is the audience and where do I find them, like where are they on social media? And like I don't feel like a lot of my band's audience is on TikTok. I feel like, maybe their Instagram or whatever, but I want to give you a couple of comments from the chat.
Sure.
um Pig Bullets was saying he doesn't listen to metal as much anymore, but his first concert was Eluvite and Amon Amarth.
Oh
So
yeah, sure, yeah.
yeah.
That's
And
cool. Yeah, I think yeah, that those guys are fun. I never learned the pronunciation of that band either, so don't worry. Um, but yeah, that's a fun band. One of my favorite bands of the late aughts folk metal explosion or whatever you want to call it.
yeah, yeah, folk metal. Wow. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's so many subgenres now.
yeah.
But yes, and she says, thanks for your reminder that fun is important. Truly, I thank you. You're not rambling, you're providing valuable information. So
Oh wow, thank you. Yeah, so sometimes I just like go down tangents of tangents of tangents, and then I have to bring it back. But yeah, it is so important to keep in focus that it's supposed to be fun.
yeah.
And I find myself truthfully in and there's a place for serious music, of course, I mean, and there's like whether it's political or emotional or I mean, there's lots of space for it. But lately I find myself less interested in that kind of stuff. I mean, I guess like political, let's put that in its own little like silo and just like
I
not
can't
even
even with that. So
that has its own place and that's fine. But as far as like serious like metal, like I just find myself less interested in it.
yeah.
Especially like the black metal musicians who just take themselves so seriously.
Yeah.
Uh, like frankly, I have just pretty much stopped listening to black metal entirely and stop writing about it. Like I get a press release about a black metal band. I'm just like, I just glance at it and I skip past it because, this sucks, but there's just so much racism and misogyny
Mm,
and bigotry in that scene that it just totally turned me off. And like, obviously, that's not every band in that scene or even close. It's a small
right.
minority, but it really has tainted it for me.
Yeah, it's off-putting for sure. And so what is the piece that you have done that has garnered you the most, like email, like angry emails or angry posts and stuff? Like, do you remember kind of what, like, or even if it wasn't the most, it was the one that affected you the most?
Yeah. Well, that's actually, you probably didn't mean it this way, but that was a great segue from what I was saying about black metal. Um, there were a series of articles about like kind of exposing bands in that scene. Um, Among them, Inquisition, who, by the way, the guy ended up being a convicted child pornography trader
Oof.
after we published our article. Um, Destroyer 666, Take, or I think it's pronounced like Toke or something, Taake.
Hmm.
Um, and like the fans of these bands are really, really intense, you know, and
Okay.
like if you say anything negative, they just come at you, you know, and
Yeah.
like we would write articles not really having anything to do with an opinion, you know, like talking about from earlier in the conversation about opinion, just like fact-based reporting. Uh, these are things they said on stage. These are lyrics. These are interviews, album artwork, you know, just like here it is, all put together in one place
Yeah.
at a major publication for the first time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like we would get death threats,
Wow.
like pictures of swastikas, like violence threats, just crazy stuff. Like you wouldn't even you'd be horrified.
Well, and I also and that's actually that brings up another thing that I noticed about your work is that and and I noticed it when you did it with one of my artists and it like affected me, but like you guys do gather things from all over the sphere and you kind of compile your information and then make your decision, it seems like.
Right, right. Is this, can we say the name of the artist that you're
I don't
referring
even
to?
remember. I think it might have been a Motley Crue thing or something.
Oh, oh,
Like,
okay, okay. I thought you were
yeah,
talking about something more recent.
no,
Um,
no. But
uh,
yeah, I mean, you do a lot of research. Oh, and Maria Ferrero loves your mustache, by the way. So,
oh, hi Maria. Uh, um, yeah, I mean, we try, you know, like,
like, I noticed
I'll
the
tell you,
Newfound Glory guy, the one you just did the story on. Like, you
right,
pulled
sure,
from his statement, and you pulled from other things, like you know.
right. Well, yeah, I mean, that one was not an original piece, you know, like
Yeah,
we were kind of just like reposting what other sites had already posted. Um, but certainly when we take the time to put together a piece, you know, we'll do like one would be the Inquisition piece, which took a while,
yeah,
and involved pulling court documents, you know, and all sorts of things with that one. And then like the most extreme example of that would be the John Finberg piece, which took an entire year of, you know, and it wasn't working on it every day for an entire year, but
right.
nevertheless, it took a year interviewing various people who claimed that he had sexually harassed them, former
Mm.
artists who say he had screwed them. You know, it was like putting together a full report. But I mean, thank you for that. I think like most of the content we do is actually not that. It's more just here's, you know, me and Matt sitting on the couch bullshitting about the new Umanov single and, you know, like cool riff or, you know, whatever, just like putting our opinions into it. It takes half an hour at most to write and just kind of pushing publish and getting it out there. But um,
Well, I think
certainly
you
there's
have a
space
good
for
balance of that. You know, you have a good balance of all the things. And I think that's why you stand the test of time. You know what I mean? Like a lot of people come and go, but you have such a variety of content. So, I mean, to me, it's like, when you get a metal record, you're one of the top 10 people who's going to get it and who's going to, who I'm hoping is going to like it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, thank you. That's awesome. Yeah, it's interesting. You know, you say that because I think the role of publicist has changed certainly since we began this website, right? Like excuse me, I feel like in 2007, um, it was way more about getting coverage from kind of like tastemakers, you know, right? Whereas like I feel like now a lot of sites like mine have shifted into more like news gossipy kind of stuff. So, you know, like as a publicist, like I mean, you know, and obviously we're still covering um new songs and videos and tours back when there were tours and so on and so forth. But you know, like I feel like for a band, it's more about like gaming the YouTube algorithm, or like getting on
Yeah.
Spotify playlists and stuff. So I'm interested to flip the camera back on you, Jamie, and like how has that changed your role as a publicist?
I mean, I feel like there's your radio people that are going to get your song on the radio or on the metal radio or whatever. And there's all these marketing people that are going to deal with those algorithms. And then there are concentrated like social media people that are dealing with that. But I feel like as a publicist, and not everybody feels this way, but as a publicist, I'm a storyteller. I have to go and operate with the artist to compose a story that I feel is going to be compelling to people like you, that is going to encourage you to take the band seriously and it will compel you to push play, on the
Mhm.
music. And
Yeah.
really, like, I always tell people, it's not my job to make them like it. It's my job to make them pay attention to it. And and I I feel like it's changed my job only in that I'm doing less of a let's throw everything at the wall and see if it sticks. And I'm doing a let's have a real conversation about a full story that we can do.
Hmm.
It's less
Interesting.
is more, like quality over quantity.
Right. Sure.
Yeah, and that's one of the reasons I started this is because I wanted people to know how you do your job so that when they do something, like they can make it easy for you. Because like with your situation, it's you and Matt and you run the whole site and you have limited time in a day and you have to spend time with your family too. So if I give you a yes or no question, that's a whole lot easier than a can you do something on my band and then you have to figure out what it is. That's
Right.
not
Big
your
time.
job.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's always appreciated for sure.
Yeah, and I
Like
want
one
more
thing.
people to do that, to make it easier for you because you're curating and you're writing and stuff like that. But people need to give you things how you need them.
Right. Yeah, and certainly familiarity with the site and the kinds of coverage we do helps.
Yeah.
And this is not really applicable to maybe like unsigned bands that are emailing us, but like
Hmm.
for a publicist, like obviously this, um, you're going to want to pitch. It's going to help you if you pitch something specific. The familiarity with different like special column, like for example, like, oh, I know you guys do guest playlists sometimes, can we get Bob from Corpse Ripper or whatever to do like his 10 favorite death metal songs, like for that feature. That's like a much easier question than, hey, like let's do something with Corpse Ripper, like what do you think?
Right.
um
Right. Yeah.
yeah.
And that's the homework that's our job to do.
Yeah.
Like to read your magazine, to read your website, and to say, like, okay, this is what they do. This is how what I have fits into it. I mean, that would be like me pitching you Nickelback. You know what I mean? Like, it's not your beat. It's not something you like. And yeah, if I want you to rip it apart and have a laugh at it, then that's great. And I think you did once years ago. But that's not your bag. And if I don't know that, that makes me bad at my job.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Maria agrees. She says sometimes people have to slow down and focus to get good results. Oh, this is good. Rose says, my PR teacher in college told me that PR is about convincing people that chicken shit is chicken salad.
Yeah, that's good. Is that Ro Coley
Yeah.
or oh yeah, hey Ro, what's up, dude?
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah,
Row.
that's a good one. That's a good one.
Yeah.
I
He
like.
was my intern when I started at Roadrunner back in the day.
Oh, cool,
Very
awesome.
small world, this metal world.
Yeah.
Yeah. Can you think of like something that publicists do that you don't like that you wish they wouldn't do?
Yeah, sure. Like actually, this just happened today. It's like such a, I don't know, it's kind of petty, but
Well,
whatever.
that's
We're buds here, right?
yeah, yeah.
So like, let's say a publicist pitches me on, Corpse Ripper, who I don't, maybe there's a band, I don't know if there's a band called Corpse Ripper. If there is, and you're
There
watching this, sorry,
probably is, but
sorry guys. But so, let's say if I get a pitch for Corpse Ripper, like, hey, would you like to premiere this song? And like I'll write back, and we really try and write back to like specific pitches like that. Like, sorry, like not feeling it. Um, good luck, or like thanks for the offer or whatever. Um, and then the publicist will reply, like knowing that I've engaged with that thread, like, oh, how about this other band, like, and I'm just like, no, like that's not how this works. Like, you don't get to like capitalize on my attention because so I don't know, like I said, like very very petty,
well,
but
yeah, but you know what? It's also like what we try to do here is we try to do best practices. So like
yeah.
if that for you is something that doesn't work, then it's good to know, you know?
Right, yeah.
Yeah, because
I mean, I'm sure
I've
there's like
been
other
guilty of the
examples.
bait and switch. I
Yeah, yeah,
have.
the bait and switch. Yeah, for
I've been
sure.
guilty.
And I get, like, I think like if I was a publicist, I would totally do it. I totally would,
Yeah.
because like, why not? Like you have the attention, you're actively engaged with somebody. Like what, why not give it a shot at least, right?
Well, that's why when you have a band like Motley Crue, for instance, that when somebody wants them, you have a lot of attention on you and you have a lot of like desire for the bigger band. So of
Mhm.
course, like, we do, like for instance, people have been wanting to do stuff with Perry Farrell and like where they make sense, we'll do them. But additionally, I have butcher babies and they're brilliant women and people should know them, you know?
Yeah. Okay, so here's something I think a little less petty,
Mm,
that sometimes publicists do, and like I don't think I've seen you do. It's mostly like a kind of like bush league publicist thing,
mm,
but like like here's they'll like send an email, and it'll have 5 paragraphs each about a different band with
yeah,
like a listen link, like a description, and then like it's like too much, like I don't even know you really, like, or at all.
yeah,
I'm not going to sit and listen to 5 entire records, let
yeah.
alone like stay on this one email for the 25 minutes or whatever it would take to listen to one song from each of them. Like that's just not realistic. um
And they
not
should know what you like and they should only include the ones that you love, you know?
Absolutely, yeah. But like even assuming it would be like all up my alley theoretically anyway,
Mm,
like even in that scenario, it's just like too much music at once. Like
yeah.
keep it to, like one band at a time.
Yeah, and even so, like even if you're gonna like file it under bands I want to check out later, you know what I mean? If you have one email about them with the info and the link that's just about them, then you can
Right.
file it away somewhere. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and I get it. I mean, there's a lot that you do that you need to do, and it's just like sometimes format is the winner, you know? Like if you get
Mhm.
something that's not well formatted and it has a million bands in it, and you get something that is succinct and, they've heard that you like this and this sounds like this and this is what I want from you and you know, a great thing, a great pitch is like that. It takes you into account.
Yeah,
Hmm.
absolutely. Yeah, and that's something I've talked about before for sure. Whether it's a publicist, or just a band trying to do it all themselves, is keep it succinct. Like it's like if it's something new, like if it's Lamb of God you're pitching me, of course there's going to be like the backstory, right, with like a quote about the album, and like the whatever, like filling in the blanks, kind of the narrative. But if it's like a brand new act, that I haven't heard before, I prefer it to be fairly brief.
Sure, absolutely, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Pig Bullets said, "I'm not in PR, but what's the biggest thing you passed on thinking it wouldn't take off?"
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah.
Um, well, I mean,
There's a lot that ain't
there's
off
so
yet.
many. I'm
Yeah.
sure. I mean, I'm sure there's so many. Um, I mean, I definitely like this one is just top of mind because you used to work with this band, but like the first time I heard Bad Wolves, I was like, "Pff, no one's gonna care about that, you know,
Mm,
like I just like didn't. I was like, this is just like milk toast hard rock. Like, who cares? And like I love Doc. I used to
yeah,
write for
Doc's the
Doc,
man. I
and
love him.
yeah. I just like didn't get it. But
Yeah, but
uh,
I also think I might not have pitched you that because I know radio rock is not your deal.
Right. I mean, sometimes it is though. Like
Yeah.
sometimes, like there are like random bands that like I just happen to like I don't really know if you would count this band as radio rock, but like Seven Dust, huge fan.
Yeah.
Uh there are a couple of Shinedown records that I really, really like, so like you never know kind of.
It's true, but like
Yeah.
I don't know that I would assume to send that to you because
Right.
I'd have to wait and see if they had a sense of humor. Because I'm like, I could send this to Metal Sucks, but it might get slaughtered, and you have to be okay with that, you
Right.
know? Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
and yeah, I mean, and I'm okay with it. I find it hilarious, but that's because it's not my baby. I don't make that music, I just get it out there.
Yeah. Yeah. I'll say one band I mean there's like a lot of bands that like just taking my role as a writer out of it for a minute, just like as a fan, I think
Mm,
anyone can relate to this. There are bands that you just don't get at first, and I could say like Ghost was one band that like on the first record, my feeling was this is fine, but like I didn't see the vision,
are you
I
into
didn't.
them now?
Yeah, like I came around on Ghost, but like it took me until the third record when like I
Mm,
really got it. And now they just put out, I think their fifth, or was it their fourth? I forget. But yeah, like that was one that like like maybe somebody at I think it was Metal Blade was working the US, like they had the US license on that first record.
mm-hmm.
Perhaps somebody pitched us on that. I don't remember, but
Yeah,
if they did, I probably passed on it, so
yeah.
there's one to answer that question.
Oh, that's great. Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, the whole Deaf Haven, whatever it is, like that was like a big deal in the media at one point, and I listened to it, and I was like, I don't get it.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
I was like, I want to get it. Everyone seems to love it, but I just don't,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah. Well, a lot of that band's fans came from not the metal world, I think
Yeah.
is maybe why you and a lot of people didn't get it. A lot of
Yeah.
people in the metal world.
Critics freaking loved it though.
Yeah.
Oh my
Big critic,
God.
critical darling. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. But I find a lot of times that the critical darlings like that, um, it's either you do well or you get great reviews, you know?
Right.
Like
Yeah.
it's like in one hand you have the Dillinger Escape Plan. Amazing band, amazing people, I never got one bad review on that band. Never one.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's like Nickelback. Every review was bad. Nickelback sold bajillions of records, and Dillinger never quite got their due, I don't think, from the
Yeah.
general public.
Well, I think at the end they did. Like once they announced they were hanging it up, and I went to one of those last shows at Terminal
Yeah,
5, like one of three shows, or I forget what it was, and that's like whatever, a 3,000 capacity venue, and it was like, bananas in there, just insane. Um,
yeah. But I think
but yeah,
their ironic pop songs warranted a lot more attention than they got. Like, I got them on Conan doing one, like doing Black Bubblegum.
oh,
When,
I remember that. That's right. Yeah.
Yeah,
Good
but
job.
I feel like
Yeah.
those songs were so great, and people didn't need to know that they were ironic, you know,
Yeah.
or what black bubblegum even meant. Because when I found that out, I was horrified. But
Well, I'm not sure if I feel like I knew at one point, but I forget.
it's a sexual thing. Uh,
Uh,
but yeah, when Greg told me, I like punched him, and I was like, I never should have known that, you know.
yeah.
um, but because I'm like, I felt like their mother for a while.
Yeah.
um, but yeah, I
Yeah,
mean, I
there are
really
those bands
think
that are the
that
critical darlings that don't have a lot of success, like even at the level that Dillinger did. Like one band, and to that end, press doesn't even matter sometimes. Like I probably wrote more raving articles imploring people to check out Byzantine than like any other band. And like who like pays attention to Byzantine, like Byzantine come to New York and like 50 people show up. It's like it just like breaks my heart because there's such an amazing band.
yeah,
Like to bring it back a little bit further, like a band like say King's X, that had like a taste, but they're not really like in the conversation, but they've got those diehard fans and always had good reviews. So, who
yeah.
knows?
Yeah, I mean, I guess success is how you define it, like if you're looking for a particular level of success, and I always say that to new bands when they come to me. I'm like, define success for you and then work to achieve it. But it doesn't have to be superstardom. And if it is, just, wake up, dude. You
Yeah,
know?
especially in metal, where it's such a small world to begin with.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Longevity is success, Maria says, and she's right. I mean, to me, being a working musician is success in my mind, because if you can do that and that's your job, that's a win.
Yeah, I
But,
agree. Yeah, and like I remember one of my first, probably not my first, but like early on in Metal Sucks, I spoke to Doug Pinnick from King's X,
mm,
and I asked him if like what he does when he's not doing music. He's like, I've been blessed to be a professional musician for my entire life. It's incredible, and by that metric, that's super successful. To
yeah,
me, it's amazing, really, that any musician can do that. It's really defies the odds,
yeah,
and I think most fans don't realize the economic realities of being in a band. I think
they
like
don't. They think you're rich.
yeah, like most bands see like a band headlining, say Irving Plaza, which holds 1,000 people, give or take, and assume like they're doing those kinds of venues everywhere, and think like, oh, like those guys are killing it, they're doing amazing. When the truth is like maybe that band is at the level that they don't have to work when they're not on tour. Like
Yeah,
maybe, but maybe
yeah,
not. Like
yeah.
a little once you get above that, I think that's where you're starting to not have to work. But um it's hard.
I want to talk about one more clever thing that you did. Um, the Blast Beat Network.
Mhm.
So, did you guys start that, or how
So
did that
yeah,
happen?
so Matt and I, this was pretty early on. I guess it was in 2008. So, we're in like year one and a half or so of being a website. We had ended up on an email chain with the Metal Injection guys, Frank and Rob. Just there was some local show they were promoting, and I think we agreed to like run a banner in exchange for like our logo on the flyer or something. And we invited them over to my old place. Um, Once again, got very stoned and came up with this idea to pool our resources together for an ad network, where our two sites would, of course, be kind of like the cornerstone sites, and we'd bring in a bunch of other sites that we could sell advertising on as one big group. The idea being that the whole would be greater than the sum of the parts, and that it would allow us to tap into um, advertising budgets essentially with labels that we weren't able to tap into just on our own because we weren't big enough. Um,
Yeah, that's
so
genius.
yeah, so that's me and Matt and Rob and Frank, all partners in that company. And it worked really well. You know, like sometimes I feel like, wow, we really like fooled the system on that. You know, we
Well, if
really,
you want to put out a metal record, your sites are where you want to be. So, and like you can be everywhere if you go through Blastbeat.
yeah, yeah, you can be on every site except for Blabbermouth and Loudwire.
Right,
But I mean, like Loudwire, like I don't even like really count that. Like they're like part of a corporate behemoth. They're like people don't
right,
realize like
right.
that
And
Town
you
Square
know
Media.
what? You do
Like,
that separately. That's not
yeah,
advertising, that's editorial. You know what I mean? Like if you're going to go for them, you're going to go for editorial
right,
and only
yeah,
in Loudwire because then Blabbermouth will pick up whatever else you do. You know what I mean?
right, totally.
Systemically, kind of that's how you work it. But yeah, I mean, it's the metal network. So, I mean, that was great. I got to come to your house and get stoned because then we'll have a good idea that'll make me money.
Yeah, anytime. Yeah,
Because
just
honestly, it seems like everyone that comes to your house and gets stoned like has a great idea. So,
anytime. We'll solve all the world's problems. It'll be
I
great.
I feel like we can, especially after this. We should go to Maria's house though, because Maria's growing her own, so that's awesome.
Oh, hell
Um,
yeah. All right,
yeah,
cool. Hook me up. I did that
absolutely.
this summer too, because I've been up in upstate New York for the past now almost year, which is nuts. But
Oh
I
wow.
kind of like inherited a situation that like growing wise. And I didn't really know what to do, but I was like, all right, I guess we'll figure this out. And
Yeah,
now I got fun with it. So hopefully no narcs are watching this
I know.
broadcast.
Hopefully not. Um, but this has been wonderful. And can you tell everybody where they can find you on social media and where you want them to go?
Sure. So probably Twitter is my most like public facing platform personally for me. And I'm Vince Neilstein on there. Um, and Vince at metalsucks.net to email. Obviously, my stuff is on Metal Sucks all the time. Instagram, Metal Sucks. Facebook, Metal SUX.
Ah,
Um, Instagram, Metal Sucks. And yeah, I think, I like to keep myself as accessible as possible. Twitter is definitely the easiest way to make, to get a hold of me. And
great.
I'll respond. So, yeah,
That's awesome. Well, this will be on demand, and then I will be moving it over to a YouTube channel that I'm launching soon. So we will
cool.
continue to send people to watch this. And I thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Jamie. This was fun. It was good
Yeah,
talking.
very. And thanks everybody for watching, and we'll see you next week.